What's up, guys? Tommy Bennett. We're back here for episode number 2 of Let Me Be Your Coach. So what I'm doing is breaking down subscribers' videos. We're going to watch their video. Then I'm going to show a different video of me doing the trick, being able to compare it, break it down, and then reapply that information we just learned back to the user-submitted video. So if you guys are interested in submitting a clip and you guys want me to coach you, go ahead and click the link in the description below and you can submit your video. Now, if you're submitting videos, please put your name and the name of the trick. In this video, you're going to see a lot of nameless people because they didn't post their name with the trick. And I want it on the file. As you enter the file name, it should be on there. So try to do that. If you want a shout out, if you want to be anonymous, I got you. That's totally fine. And if you're looking for more awesome breakdowns and content, definitely check it out. This is actually one of my videos of 10 most common falls and how to prevent it. There we go. Number 1, turning. So subscribe to the channel if you want to vibe. And you guys are amazing. Let's dive right into it. So we're going to be breaking down back threes. So first we got this dude. This guy's dedicated. We got a lot of you guys that are dedicated. He's literally at a park on the side of a hill. Let's see what he's got for us. So nice little... Okay. So we got a couple things that we can really work on and redefine in here. One of the first things is one of the biggest challenges that people have is they wind up their arms, not their shoulders. Now, what I mean by that is if I just move my arm, let's say this arm across my body, I don't get a lot of oomph to move around this beastly body like whatever amount of degrees, right? So I actually have to use a larger body movement, which is going to be rotating through the spine, allowing my whole shoulder to move. So when we say we like wind up the shoulders, the whole thing is not moving the arm. It is actually rotating through the spine, getting our shoulders to move. And then the shoulders is a bigger body part, meaning the spine is going to be able to unwind or wind and then unwind and throw the trick. So it's very imperative that you're not just opening and closing your arm. You're actually rotating through the spine. So what I'd actually like to see in this specific view is be able to see more of the front side of his body, which really indicated that if I was pointing at you guys, that instead of just doing this, or sorry, just moving my arm, that you actually see more of the logo, which obviously is hiding behind the microphone. But I like to see more legit wind up, and that may be a significant movement pattern through the next 3 videos. We're gonna have to find out here in a second. So let's find out what else have we got here. So, okay. Now, the second big challenge in this body position, I'm actually gonna kind of, don't mind me, I'm gonna scoot over a little. Oh, whew, that was frightening. So the next thing that you're going to see here is there's a significant flex of the waist leaning forward. So then when you're just leaning over, it's really hard to generate a lot of pop. And it's really hard to throw that shoulder because you're like hunched over. If you try to do a 360 right now, just like drop what you're doing, hop in the living room and do a 360 through a hunched position, 10 times harder. But if you kept your chest raised and you're able to have more range of motion through your spine, it's going to be a lot better, but then you have to overcompensate this for the pop somehow. So what you end up doing is you take the pop instead of at your shoulders, your hips, you actually bring it into your knees, which we'll see an example here in a minute. But you want to move that pop back down to the knees and then let your spine do the rotation, let your knees do the popping, and then you're going to be a lot more balanced. Instead of hunched over, you're a lot more stacked. We talked about it in the last episode where you want your shoulders stacked over your hips and your hips stacked over your board in this nice alignment. Once you're in that alignment, it allows you to like do a lot of cool things. But right now we're a little twisted, resulting in this kind of little crazy movement right there, right? So now you saw that like you're significantly leaning back. There's really no chance of like saving this unless you're like Miles Fallon. Big shout out to that dude. Like he might save this because he's a freaking goat and he can land like a cat. But this is a really challenging position. Now also notice that the shoulders are pretty lagged behind, and then he's going into recovery mode, which means he's got to reach for the ground and try to brace for impact, not resulting in the full rotation that he wants. So we're going to just swing that back one more time. I'm going to hop over to my database that I have collected from Instagram. On Instagram, I've posted over 1,000 videos of breakdowns. So if you're interested in that, check that out. It's going to be TommieB1. I got a lot of stuff over there. So let's use, I got a nice example right here for us. A backside 360. This is actually a little bit of a side hit. I will pause it. Let's make this 1080 because we want it in the most detailed nerd as possible. Now, it's a very different situation, but the reason why I chose this specific video is there's no jump. I have to do everything so perfect to get enough airtime and so perfect to get the spin around. Is it even possible? Well, I think we got to find out. Everyone's got to load. Boom. So that's the backside 360. Now, what we were talking about earlier is notice how much my shoulders are wound up. You can see that if I was just winding up my shoulder, you would see there's a logo on the left pocket. Right about here, there's a left pocket logo. You'd be able to see that if I was just rotating my arm. You would see that my spine was not actually moved. Here, you can see that my spine is moved like almost 90 degrees. It almost looks like it's pretty significantly open, which means it's going to generate a lot more momentum, and I need that to carry the rest of my body weight to go in that full rotation. So that's one example of the first challenge we had on the last video. Now, as we go into the next one, notice that my spine is up. There's that logo I was telling you about. There's a logo. So logo, now you can see it. Now notice that I am not significantly hunched over, that I'm relatively vertical. I do have flex in my knees more than the last video, and I get a lot of pop. Now I know that this is more of an ollie technique, meaning I've loaded more pressure on my tail and the board's gonna help spring me up. At this point, I'm trying to use any tactic to get the rotation around, but I don't have a jump that's going to essentially help lift me in the air. So I got to do it somehow. So that's the methodology that I chose. And then I'm able to be in this stacked balance position. Notice the video from before. If we can line it up real quick, that body position about 180 in versus this body position, it's a significant change in just the balance point, right? Now I look super comfortable. More importantly, I have the ability to process what the heck's going on, and I'm not reaching for the ground to like save myself. I'm just vibing. Now, if I press play, you're gonna see that I just land very smoothly. Both of my knees are bent. I'm absorbing that impact with both of my knees. And then I let my shoulders come in a little bit late, and I intentionally did that because I wanted to speed up my board. I know that I have to get my board 360 degrees or else I'm catching an edge. So I got to get my board to accelerate a little bit faster. I let my lead shoulder stay a little behind, but then I'm able to finish through and like right away and smile. I'm going to interrupt really quick, guys. Holy cow, isn't this view amazing? It's my office, and it's something that is super dear to all of us, and that is going to be snow. So what I've done this year is I'm putting 10% of all sticker proceeds to protect our winter, something that's obviously so meaningful to all of us. So I'm donating 10% of all of these stickers. If you guys want to pick up a sticker, no snow, no life sticker, it's going to be in the link in the description below. And 10% goes to protectourwinters.org. If you guys want to learn more about what they do, jump on the computer. You're probably already on one, some kind of device, and you can go to protectourwinters.org and find out more. Everything is going to be linked in the description below. And now, back to the show. Oh, sorry, that was a sporadic ride if I've ever seen one. Cool. So now going back to this video, does that all make sense? It's just a couple key things in body position, timing, and using the right body parts for the right specific task. Once you're able to do that, it's going to be a lot easier to get this trick around. Thanks for submitting the video, my dude. I wish I knew who this was. Okay, now, like I said, we got back-to-back 360s. Okay, this is going to be a very, it's going to be another backside 360 video. That is a very similar thing. So if we go back just a little bit, notice that we're able to see directly down the line of his back. And then as we transition, there's not much windup. If we notice that we can see a significant amount of his lead glove and lead arm, which tells me that his shoulder is not in the opposition. If his shoulder was wound up in a more appropriate or optimal position, I would either not be able to see that hand, or I would see a lot more of his back and the lead suspender, right? Then I would be able to see more information on his back and gather more information on this clip if he was in the right body position. So with that said, there's no windup. The other part is if you notice that we go back like a couple frames, he's on a toe side edge. This toe side edge in this body position is almost ideal right here, surprisingly, right? And the reason I say that is this body position, if he was taking off the jump right now, he has a nice toe side edge set. He also is slightly forward, totally fine, but he has knees on both, pressure on both knees equally. And then his chest is up and he's almost wound up, but obviously he could wind up. But notice what happens. He makes this turn and now he has to flatten out. Now he's going back to that toe side edge. Now he's trying to get on an edge, but it's already too late because I have to go do this. If we watch this video here, I'm going to go step back to a backside 360 that we looked at in the last episode. Backside 360, where are you? Come on. Backside 360 in the moguls. Is this really a video? Oh, this actually is. Let's go. So this is not the same video we watched in the last episode. So what we're going to do here, we're going to replay it. It's going to refresh. Okay. Let's just kind of try to compare the two in this context. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but notice that my lead knee is, both knees are flexed. My back hand is actually rotated down towards like the front of my board a little bit more, showing me that my shoulders have rotated, as well as you can see a bit of my back hand. That tells me that I'm wound up, right? So then as we move on, I'm going to get this nice late toe side edge, but I'm still able to spin. And you may be like, Hayden, right now, let's watch this thing. A little backside 360. Boom. Let's watch it one more time. We're going to watch it in slow-mo, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more. My bad. Boom. So what we're going to see here in the slow motion version is that I'm able to get on that toe side edge, be on that toe side edge. Now look that my board is perfectly straight down the fall line, across the mogul. Let's just call it the jump. My board is across the jump and it's taking off the lip. My board hasn't rotated yet, but my shoulder has. What that allows me to do is project my energy up over the mogul, give me maximized air time, and then spin. Notice how late that was, and then I'm able to spin and then land in a mogul. So now we're switching back over to the other video. Notice that he's like, kind of just like, confused, and then is there. Now, the next movement that you're going to see is that he tries to throw as late as that other video, but then his shoulders don't move in the right direction. You're going to notice that this lead hand right here is actually almost like a dance move. It's like in the opposition, and it's working against him, and then his weight is also shifting forward. He's super twisted, and by then, he didn't get the full rotation around so that his board could do the 360. Remember in the last breakdown, I talked about I need to get my board down the fall line or in the direction of momentum so I don't catch an edge. Well, he just didn't get his board around. So really it stemmed from a really funky run-in and not getting enough drive off of his edge and getting enough rotational momentum in the air that sacrificed, the spin at the end of the day. At the end of the trick here, he's able to just get 270, but he's also leaning forward, so he caught an edge. So really what I would love to see, just being in a lot more on a smooth edge. You can do like 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn. I also want to bring back this backside 360 crail. Oh, this one. Ooh, this one. This is actually a really good video for the same breakdown. So let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. We are getting nerdy out here, guys. I hope you like this more long form kind of content because I do it. I love it and I love talking about it. Okay, so what we're going to see here is that I'm able to slow down my momentum and brake a little bit, kind of brake check, speed check type thing. But I'm going to do a turn, and then smoothly get on that edge and then get the momentum. Obviously, this is the bigger jump. And minimal arm swings because I dialed that in. But notice that this run in, see if I can get this right. Oh, we're going to go from the beginning. Notice that this run in, I got there, did a little heel side check, but now I'm going to get on that toe side edge. And now here's a nice, smooth, proper toe side edge, allowing me to maximize my trajectory. And maximizing that trajectory is very important. But I drove that shoulder, gave a little oomph, finish, get that board across the fall line. So to recap on this video, what I'd love to see is dial in 3 turns, go heel side, toe side, heel side, and then back to toe side, giving yourself a nice solid platform to take off of. Give it a nice throw, keep your knees up. We didn't talk about that, but keep your knees up and then finish the rotation, get your board 360. But it's just all the stuff above that kind of made it more challenging. Cool. Well, thank you so much for the submission, dude. We definitely got a little gnarly. Okay, moving on. This is awkward. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Will, what's up, dog? He submitted with his name. Cool. Backside 360. Like I said, we'll go back 360s. So with this backside 360, there's a lot of awesome things done right. One being that he landed the trick, right? That's super freaking awesome because being able to spin, there's so many things that have to go right to get there. So props to Will for doing that. Now, what I would like to do is take this to the next level. And how do I get Will to be more awesome, right? Because obviously he landed the trick, but could we make it awesome? Well, let's go see what we have on this one. So kind of the nice takeoff that we talked about earlier. Comment down below what you guys think would if you already have a backside 360, how do I make it more awesome? And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, it would be awesome to comment, but it is what it is. But with that, I would love to see Will retract his knees and grab his snowboard, right? So if we were in a competition situation and we didn't grab our snowboard, it's totally cool, except for the fact you're going to get a deduction and you're not going to get the maximum amount of points possible for that specific trick if you miss the grab. So obviously we may not be competing here, but it is good to strive to that next level, which would be, dude, let's get a freaking grab in here. Okay, wind up. Right about now, he should already start to naturally bring his knees up. One thing he's doing really awesome is that his eyes are already looking in the direction he's traveling. So I know that he is very aware. And if he could just bring his knees up and then actually grab his snowboard, like bring those knees up, and you can see that his backhand is kind of lagging behind. Maybe it's an indie grab that he could do first. They can be challenging, but when you're learning a grab for the first time, exaggerate your knee retraction. The goal is to bring your knees as high as possible. The goal is not to dive forward into your grab, because if I was sitting on this chair and I just lean forward, I'm literally going to fall off my chair. But if I bring my knees up, sitting on the chair, I stay balanced. Hard to really show you unless you are here, but bring your knees up so that the board comes up to you so you can stay in a balanced position. And then I like to coach, what is the path of the least resistance, right? For him, it may be indie because his hand's naturally there. If I asked him to grab mute, his backhand is so far twisted behind him, that may be a challenge, or maybe that's a really good thing. So I would love to see the path of least resistance, but at the end of the day, you have to try both grabs. And that grab would be indie, which is your backhand between both legs, between both bindings. Try that. Also, you could try mute. What's great about mute is it is your lead hand grabbing between the bindings, but it helps that shoulder, instead of being way twisted behind you, it's actually going to help you go in the direction you're traveling, which is kind of what you want. So I'm actually going to show you back to let's finish watching this. And yes, you could argue that this is a very small jump, but yes, you could just tap your board. Give it a little love tap. You're vibing. So let's go back to this video that we've already seen. Backside 360. Notice that I'm barely off the ground and already have more knee retraction than Will did, obviously because I've just done this so much. But even though I'm barely off a jump, and my jump's way bigger, so in theory, I could have more time to delay my knee retraction, I literally bring my knees up as soon as possible. I personally like doing that because it gives me the opportunity to grab, and then I just vibe. I just stay in there, and I just hang out. So you're going to see that I'm about just almost 90 degrees. I'm just past 90 degrees, and I already have my grab. I'm comfortable with this, and maybe this is where Will can work up to, but bring your knees up. My knees are up. And then I'm already grabbing. Notice I'm grabbing between my bindings. Do not grab outside of the bindings, in between the tail and the nose. That's called like a Tindy or no grab zone. We're going to dive deep into that aspect here in a little bit on the channel. But grab between your bindings or grab the tip of your board. It's for the 99% of it, that's really what's socially acceptable. There's a few exceptions, but we're not going to dive into that right now. But notice I grab between my bindings. Bring my knees up. I'm looking, I let go of the grab, put my board down, and ride away. So, Will, hey, stop this, huh? So, Will, that's really what I would love to see, is bring your knees up. You have time to do it, even though if it's a tap, totally fine. Just progress that way. You have a couple options. Try mute and try indie, and just see which one's natural. You may find indie to be more challenging, which is totally okay. Go with mute. If you find mute more challenging, totally okay. Go with indie. Eventually, you're going to have all of them, right? All right, moving on. Thanks, Will, for the submission, dude. The next video we're going to dive into is like a nice little setup. This actually is like a low consequence urban on kind of learn how to do it kind of feature. And the goal is to be able to get on and do a 50-50 and ride away. Now, obviously the goal is to ride 50-50, get locked in so much that you're able to ride through the end of the feature as awesome as possible. Now, you're also going to see that this is more of like an urban/street style, depending on where you're from. They call it different things, but the urban/street style approach means that the rail is here, but you have to actually go from the side as if like it was a normal handrail in the streets. So you can get away with it a little bit. Now, notice that their board's kind of a hybrid, almost like halfway off to the side and halfway not off to the side. Utilizing this feature as a learning tool is so important and so cool as an opportunity. But take this trick from the side, and I'll show you an example here in a second of why that's this is really awesome. And actually, it will give you so much more control if you do the tactic we're going to talk about in a second. But first things first, get in a nice, strong, stacked position. When I talk about a 50-50, majority of the time, I want you to be aware of where your belly button is. Now, if this is essentially the rail directly over the microphone, and here's my belly button. This is a weird, awkward belly button, I know, but so this is my belly button. Now, if I'm perfectly stacked over the rail or the microphone, it's actually, I'm pretty balanced. I can stay here for a significant amount of time, not a big deal. But if my belly button starts to lean over here, then the rest of my center of mass, rest of my weight is all going to start drifting off. Another example is imagine you're standing on the top of a cliff and your belly button is stacked directly on top of my phone. What ends up happening? Nothing, right? Nothing's a big deal. But what if I start leaning back? Well, then the rest of my body wants to lean back. But what if I wanted to go forward? Well, then I could lean my belly button in forward intentionally and fall off. Obviously, we're not trying to do that here intentionally, but that's the result. So as a easy methodology to understand is where's my belly button? And if my belly button is stacked directly over the rail, I have a greater chance of just riding and vibing and cruising through the end of the rail. Now, if you're going to notice that this person's lead shoulder is slightly open, their back shoulder is a little twisted as well, so they're changing where their center of mass is just a little bit, and then you can start to see that they're in this weird predicament where they're a little twisted, they're leaning really far forward with their chest, but they're obviously leaning towards their toes and slightly towards the nose of the board. They're like starting to fall off a little bit, and things are just getting a little bit twisted, and it's just so close. So I feel like this rider, without really knowing them, I think that the next possibility or the next progression would be getting into something that we call is an urban on approach. And we're actually going to go to HD. I apologize. We're going to HD real quick. Play. So very similar tactic right now. Notice that I'm definitively off to the side. We're going to watch it one more time in slow motion. Notice how locked in. I'm vibing. Right? So if we could just do this real quick before going super nerdy into it, notice this body position. It does look like my spine's relatively upright. My knees are bent. I'm directly over the board, over the rail, and I'm looking pretty balanced. Versus when we go over here, it's just a little twisted, a lot more like spine is forward. So you can see the difference by being able to see this one versus this one. Now, that's the goal, is to be able to get in this position, but it does stem from how you get on the rail. So what we're going to talk about is a little bit of an advanced tactic, but that's why we're here, right? We're trying to become more awesome at snowboarding. So what you're going to see is that I'm going to go into the rail at maybe, let's say, call it a 15-degree trajectory towards the middle of the rail. I have my spine upright. I have a small edge angle that's going to allow me to get grip on the snow and have that trajectory onto the rail. And then I jump just a tad bit, enough to get on the rail, but notice that I'm going to start lifting up my toes and I start angling my board. And I actually, if you can look at the angle of the board, my board is no longer perfectly flat on the rail. I may have it's really hard to measure here, maybe like 10-degree tilt. What ends up happening with that 10-degree tilt is I redirect my momentum down the rail because I'm slamming on the side of the rail, changing my trajectory. If I were to land perfectly flat on that rail, I end up keeping that momentum. There's nothing changing that momentum or the trajectory, and I'm just going to continue in that direction because I'm on a slidable surface, which would be the rail on my board. So when it comes down to it, I need to change my direction somehow. So to illustrate even further, this is the rail. Let's call this the tube. My board hits the side and then rolls on, and now I go straight down the fall line. Let's watch it one more time. Hit the side of the rail, flatten out, and I'm locked in. I'm literally like super freaking locked in. Boom, boom. Granted, I was on a super small feature, but you saw how quickly I was able to get locked in. So just going back here, really being able to go, oh, hey, there we go. Get here, coming in from more of an angle, stopping that momentum from falling off, and then get that. So come in a little bit more from a wide turn from like this side, lookers left, being able to come in from the side, come in at the rail at a 15-degree trajectory. Then it's going to allow you to hit the side of the rail and then redirect your momentum. But you also want to keep that spine upright, knees bent, and close the shoulder. What I like to do is point my shoulder towards my lead shoulder towards the end of the rail. I'll also like to keep my eyes there, but just get that urban on, redirect that momentum, and it'll help you from falling off. And then you feel like an absolute boss. As you guys can see, we literally have only gone through half of the video submissions, and I have a whole nother video the same length. So I got a lot of these, and I know there's going to be a video in here that's going to help you at some point. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want me to break down your riding, submit a video with your name and the name of the trick that you're trying to attempt. So I know what you're trying to do. Maybe trying to 900, you got a 180. I need to know. And then I can set you up for success. So make sure you guys put that in the link in the description below. It's going to be linked to a Google Drive folder. And you guys are amazing. This has been absolutely fun. Definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, share the love if you guys are enjoying this channel. And my goal for the channel is to make you as awesome as possible. So on that note, guys, nothing but love. We out. Yep. Okay. Bye.